Hello everyone, we are on Canyon, ANS versus OSP, 3,000 points per player, 1,500 points to win. Team 1, Blue Trunks, ANS, we got 8-Ball, Microsoft Edgelord, HIMARS, Nokek, and Firebird. Scoring off against them on the OSP side in the Orange Trunks, we got Abraxas, Star 1954, Spadicy, Ion 09, and Hallow. So, it's going to be the second match we're doing on Testulus from this recording, so we'll see just how things go. Rank equal weight to like, yeah, we're talking about some of the rank stuff there, just how that's an indicator of not skill, but more just so the experience a player has. And again, you can have like a lower rank in Nebulous and be quite talented. It's just how fast you end up learning the game in that. So a lot of it is just kind of like, going by vibes. Like some people might be, again, very talented at playing frontline or cap fleets or stuff, but they might have no idea how to build a missile or run a carrier. So it's a non-linear factor too. But if you're ever intimidated about getting into Neb, don't worry, it's silly all the way to the top. You can have a good time with people. Just focus on constantly improving and making yourself feel more confident with the game, and you'll just have a good time. 8-Ball also is pointing out alarms are false, but will not stop, so no voice chat. Unfortunately, 8-Ball in the pregame lobby was like, hey guys, my building's fire alarm is going off. It's a false alarm, don't worry about it. Anyways, I'm gonna play Nebulous, so if that's not dedication, I don't know what is. All right, let's see how we get through this one. We got a big sip your request as we start off here, so everyone take a drink of water, whether you're on Twitch or YouTube. Loving that water. Just don't mind my tracking going freaky there for a second. All right, let's go through these fleets before too much happens this game, shall we? So, go through these fast. Hallow coming in with a 450 on the left side and then Plasma on the right side. They're able to roll 90 degrees to get that on target. Another one of these kind of half and halves has a missile launcher on the back. What do you got in there, buddy? Torpedoes. Interesting. Bringing along a couple torpedoes at close quarters work. Maybe blast frag against bombers. Not sure. Kind of an interesting tech. Like to see that experiment with. Hallow's final ship is going to be a Bloodhound tug here with a Talisman launcher on top there. Nice way of getting rid of some of the enemy fighter craft or maybe using offensives. Hard to say. All right, let's see. Abraxas is going to be our next target down here, grouped up on the C side of the map here. We're going to see these are, Plasma 100 mils with some 250s on top. All right, nice little obelisk on that one, joined by another one of similar style. This one has container decoys, if I'd guess. Yep, decoy line ships there to fake out the enemy. Nice 100 mil plasma combo. There we go, two of those immediately launched off there. Hallow commenting about Canyon being larger than you remember it being. Canyon not played the most, but it is kind of fun now in carrier patch. We'll see what both teams end up bringing. Just doing quick sift. Ooh, ANS did not bring a carrier. I should ask people to do that in future. Always wanted to be testing that Strikecraft versus Strikecraft, but still, this will be interesting either way. EWAR tug along this. Let's see, Dazzlers, Pinpoint on top, size 2 launcher on the bottom, I think. Yep, size 2 launcher with SGMs. Okay, something, and Grazers, that's that. What's Ion got? Ion with the triple bulkers. Plasma broadsider on the one, T20 secondary batteries, got a C56. These are all deployed in line, so C56 250 package and T20s as well. And then lastly, above it, going to be another 250s. So one plasma bulker, two 250s. Nice little way to strip off armor and then get into the internals. Spadicy coming along with, looks like a 250 broadsider here. Secondary batteries, T20s on the tail there. And then on the backpack, a couple of containers, probably going to be, yep, you see some decoys and some boxes. Might be some of the offensives or defensives, blast frag stuff. Have seen those counter bombers before. We'll see what they bring. But also deploying, looks like top and bottom of the map, trying to do a little bit of this 2-lane kind of gameplay here. Covering the F point and then covering the G point down below. Sped's going to have another one of those broadsider 250s. Gonna see there's a, what's that, C-30, jammer, missile launcher. This is a multi-mission tug. Most people are in the jammer on the bottom, I find, but all right. Anyways, D-point, HIMARS chiming in saying, oh no, they're getting the cap points first. No! Yeah, just pretty standard multi-mission tug coming in here. Accompanying down below, we're gonna see a Bloodhound tug with a T-20 on top. It's going to be a T-20 little gun capper here going towards that F point, and then little naked capper going towards that G point here. All right, lastly, we got Star coming in, 3K more line, getting its planes airborne here. We see a bunch of those scouting skiffs already airborne. Hunter flight of bombers up in the air right now with their 100 mil gun pods, good for hunting light ships at the start. A couple of the, oh no, probably forgot to fix the ammo count on these ones. These do not have bullets in them. Oh dear, that could be bad. Did Star forget to bring, or did they just forget to equip their loadout? They did bring the ammunition. This is either a visual glitch for us, or they forgot to check on their loadouts to arm this with 35 mil. So, yeah, have to make mention of that one in the post game. So remember that one, chat. Anyways, squaring off against them, we see 8-Ball over here has got themselves a beam destroyer. Defenders on the sides there, jammer on the belly, very nice stuff. BLS2, a bunch of those size 2s. Interesting. All right. Not sure what those will be used for, but could be up to some mischief. Seeing top of the map, we got, okay, Torpedo and Pinard on this device. What kind of missiles? We get a bunch of Lobster Claw size 3 hybrids. Going to see another one deploy similarly, able to get a little offset there for the Pinards. And down below the map, going to see another pair of these. So Corvette pairs going off there. Firebird with the swarm of vets over here, going to be running around, just called Grum on these. Okay, so the Grum vet squad is, let's see, we see one Bullseye, Blanket, Aurora, and Spyglass. Lastly on this one, just running basically naked. So 9 of these things cruising with Whiplash. That is a swarm pushing out to the E to D point, so that'll be fun to see. Did Star have guns in the Moorline last match? Good question. Let's actually double check on that. I don't see any. I see hangars, I see point defense, and talisman launcher. No guns on that. Thank you for checking, though.
The enemy is securing
Star, yeah, Star had them. I'm not sure if this is just like a loadout error or visual for us or what, because I think that some of these have been loaded up right. We'll find out about that later on in the game and confirm, because that's not something you can change in the match, unfortunately. So have to make sure that loadout boxes are checked correctly. Might have swapped over to like 35mm nose gun instead of 20mm. Anyways. First exchange going off here is HIMARS is found by Spidicey's, what's this, the 250 broadsider. So if those bullets get into this Corvette, it's going to have a bad time. Still, most of them are going to be missing here. Not quite the accuracy of the range they are wanting. Corvette is a fairly small target. There you go. Yep, seeing a whole slew of fire trying to pepper this thing. Star realizing they have made a grave mistake. Gotta just say, I think I know what, as I think now Star realizing the situation be like, oh no, I've realized that. Oh no. Anyways, let's get through these fleets. Right, it was HIMARS we were looking at. HIMARS beam destroyer is going to be covering down the E point here. Pretty standard beam destroyer, has got itself a jammer, has got itself a chat box, techs into a stonewall there, size 2 launcher on top. Okay, STM, some breadsticks here. There's Bren's breadstick missile showing a nice way to smack bombers, and a couple of these capper slappers. Kind of cool using that VLS2 on top. Secondary one of these going to be watching the B point back here. They've got themselves a torpedo capper over this side. I believe that this one was the one we saw with, yep, those missed missiles are blast frags, so used against enemy bombers. Very good to see those things getting used up. Anyways, that is going to be them losing one of their torpedo cappers on the F point here, overwatched by a bulker from Spidicey. That's more than you can take on with a Corvette. Down bottom of the map, we're going to see they did win the kind of nothing fight against a very naked, empty capper here on the G point, although they are in turn getting lit up. Spidicey doing that 2-lane push here with bulkers, making it so that it is a lot of investment to have to try and see this kind of thing off. Still does not manage to get that kill. HIMARS should be able to move off the point here. See, there's a capper vet moving towards the A point neutral here in the middle of the map. We're going to see the second capper vet hanging out here on the B point. All right, let's go for front lines. Microsoft Edgelord has got themselves, looks like a Greedford, 120s on the side here, 450s on the top and bottom, backpack of size 2s. Going to see some SDMs, some SGMs, active decoys, and a whole bunch of Cyclone hybrids. Okay, Edge coming with a backpack loadout on that thing. Accompanying this, going to be some Sarissa and Mark 62 picket bricks. Nice to see a little bit of escort going on with that main kind of heavy cruiser there. Nokek also going to be running, looks like a bit of the similar style. We see this thing has got 450 on the front here. It's got Sarissa on the broadside. Auroras as well. That's normally a point defense loadout you see on an Ancello. Defenders across the top of this thing. Nothing on the bottom there. A little bit lacking in defender hemisphere. Might want to move that nose one to the belly side there so you get full hemispheres. Anyways, backpack of size 3s. Seeing some bonk and clapbacks there. So size 3 hybrids ahoy. They're running this along with a picket brick here, stone walls, and some jammers. Very nice stuff. You can see a gun, bullseye, and what's that, kind of like Ewar, lock, and gun on this, and another similar one there run in tandem. So a bit of an interesting little collection of tools there. Like how wide Canyon is, there's not one huge fight, but multiple smaller. Yeah, Canyon with carriers is really, really fun because there's a lot more engagement between different fights. It's not just so much, because before there was a lot of empty space, but now that's kind of been filled up by a bunch of these patrolling craft, spotting the enemy, identify where they are, and players are able to move towards each other. That said, though, ANS did not bring a carrier. They are going to be going very light on the air defense in that style, or rather in the anti-bomber air defense style. Bombers very easily shot down when you send a flight of interceptors against them. Bombers are not the most evasive. They can get shredded by 20mm or 15mm very, very quickly, so you got to watch out for that. Still, though, if you do not have that defense, you need to make it up in other categories, having a lot of point defense turrets or those anti-craft missiles. So Gonna see what ends up happening with that. HIMARS trying for the A point here. Spicy doing a good move here, overwatching down towards the G point, does not get the denial, decides, okay, I've got better things to do, moves out towards A point, tries to see off HIMARS here, who is in turn firing in return here. Just, I think a couple of HE rounds might hit here, yeah. Not going to do any significant damage. Does start a fire with a lucky hit, though, and the T-20 is now going to start barking against this. Some more fire coming from over here is Hunter Flight. Again, good interceptors here. Love seeing these as kind of an opening rollout in the start of the game. Instead of going for Capital Hunters with R3s and bombs, just getting these very cheap, effective gun pods on target. You can get into reasonably effective range, light this thing up. Not the most accurate now. Their accuracy has been toned down on Test Branch, deservedly so, because they were really, really accurate on live previously. But I'm going to see them now still able to do effective work against this target as they kind of send out the last of their payload. Maybe go for one last run here. I don't know if they decide this thing's dead or not, but I see gets on target and going to shoot this thing up. Still, not before it caps it in time. They'll have to commit some assets there. Firebird on Safari, completely undetected. Lack of OSP detection on this side. Still, most likely not something that people would expect. Maybe a work a back capper around here, but Firebird just being able to freely get onto this D point. Going to make the OSP side go, wait, hang on a second. What do you have back there? Turn their attention over. There's going to be an entire 3,000 point fleet of Corvettes there. They need to get taxed by whatever the OSP has, and the OSP instead is electing to go for their own kind of push here towards B side. Currently 3 cap OSP, 4 cap for the ANS. They did keep that neutral point here, which honestly should not go into anyone's hand when you get a wide open neutral point like this. You need to make sure you're committing enough Overwatch assets, be it a 250 CL, a bunch of 100 mil like multi-mission tugs or missiles or stuff. You want to keep these central neutral points neutral, because if one team can cap it, then suddenly it's a massive shooting gallery trying to send anything onto that. We saw this in a previous match on Nyx's Eye, where once a neutral point like that has been capped, it's suddenly just, man, it's going to be so expensive for us to get a capper onto that. We should have invested to keep it neutral. So, little bit of misplay or just bad fortune there. They did try and counter with a bunch of the 100 mil and 250, just sadly was not quite in position. Can counter with things like tugs or intercept flights with rocket pods, like these, I think it's Fencer over here. No, not Fencer. There's one of these flights that has rockets. I was sure of it, right? Okay, so yeah, Star definitely just changed over their nose gun to the 35 mil, and in their loadouts forgot to click the button that says, hey, equip 35 mil ammo to these. It's a little unfortunate that's not done automatically, but that is one thing to consider when you're doing your changeovers from 20 mil to 35 mil. So just got to watch out for that. That said, though, ANS does not have any planes, so it does matter because you can't shoot down incoming missiles, but it's not as big of a deal, because if you have no nose gun ammo, then you're just going to get jumped on by every Tanto on the map. So though, happy accidents, I guess, as Star is now flying like half of a carrier loadout. Firebird finding themselves onto the D point here. Is that D point? Yeah, it's the D point here. B point is back over here, which Abraxas is going to, at basically the same time, find themselves onto, and both teams got to be like, wait, hang on, what are you doing over here? Beam Destroyer is in position. We see HIMARS here ready to peek out from behind the rock here. Beam is going to be lighting up this target shortly. Attention is grabbed instead from over here. I believe that was one of the... Nope. There we go. One of the Axfords down below going to be saying, hey, look at me. Look at me. You should be looking at me. I'm going to fire missiles at you. I'm going to shoot you with my guns. Pay attention to me. Not the Beam Destroyer waiting back here that is going to spring the ambush and cook you. No. This is the perfect opportunity to use a Beam Destroyer. You want to make sure the Beam Destroyer is not the center of attention. Bite with something else if it's going to be a big frontline push like this, and then Beam comes in from the flank while they are distracted. Plasmaing Edge's broadside here. Not what you want to be doing, unfortunately, as, well, Edge here going to learn that it turns out presenting broadside to the enemy has some drawbacks. Missile going to swing and a miss there. They're not called hit aisles. There we go. Beam correctly choosing its target. Unfortunately, overshoots just a little bit here. Not quite able to reach that maximum range. There we go. Now getting into target. Goes after the softest thing first. Quickly is able to knock something out. Missiles immediately deployed in turn. Hodge act here as this thing does have jammers. I think those are going to go into the rock, though, unfortunately. Yeah, looks like they will not find their target. More missiles being deployed here. A bunch of these size 2 hybrids. Probably going to get intercepted again. So, though, violence ensues on the B side point here. Take a look around the map, see if any other developments are happening. Looks like Ion has gone to ground near the A point, possibly moving to push up as the Abraxas push has been kind of seen off here. Abraxas, recognizing situation, decides, oh shit, I need to get out of here. There's a lot more firepower than I expected. I got the cap, time to move. Going to be moving missiles back here. Actually, no, did not stay on the cap long enough for it, so decided that maybe surviving is the better part. Stand and Deliver is certainly trying to. Its drive has been knocked out, so it will be immobilized. Unfortunately, Magazine as well, looking like it's getting smacked there. A little bit of plasma does find its way in. More of these missiles. Grazer shot. There we go. Woo! Yeah, a bunch of those missiles did find their way in. T-81s and T-30s are not invulnerable to the like missile damage rays, as we saw with something like, I think what was an example of a Bulker? Yeah, something like these C-65 450 broadsiders. These things have a lot higher damage thresholds. They don't care as much about that. Hallow going to be trying to find out what's on D point over here. I don't think Firebird is spotted, as that Bloodhound is just looking at the point here. Firebird just caps that and then steps off. Could have gone for more Safari, but decides to just play the discretion route. Brax is continuing to do their retreat now, as we're going to see the flank coming in here as Ion manages to come around the rock. There we go. Going to be taking out one of Nokek's ships here. The Corvette, unfortunately, getting blasted by multiple craft at once there. Looks like Spinacy takes his opportunity, gets onto A point. So again, play multiple avenues of aggression, try and tax your enemy's attention. They were all focused over here. Dropkick Flight also trying to get some work done as Star dumps their Spearfish. Fortunately, it looks like that flight took quite a bit of damage here from something or other. Not quite sure what hit them. Probably a bunch of those intercepting STM missiles. Speaking of intercepting, go see some of those HE frag missiles fired off there defensively, just trying to dump out either to hit Dropkick Flight or to intercept those missiles. Braxis likely to lose this Bulker as it is shot up and immobilized, having a really rough go at life. Has a lot of restores, but you are caught in open space with no way to defend yourself. That is not where you want to be finding yourself against dual Axfords. Does get that drive back, but how long does this thing... How long does this thing stay alive? That was me trying to say too many words at once. Alright, so, cap situation. Like we were talking about before, Spadicy moves onto the G point cap here, realizing that they've cleaned out HIMARS' asset on the bottom of the map. Ion moving up to get themselves into the fight here, trying to go against whatever presents itself here, staying close to cover as these two Axfords are really the only, that's like the only true capital front line that the ANS has. And a pair of Axfords versus all of these Bulkers, that could be a little bit risky if they get a bunch of focus fire. Yeah. Alliance holds cap lead since they're bleeding a lot of the valuable cappers. Yes, Alliance has bled quite a bit of their stuff. HIMARS unfortunately losing multiple assets, and we see over here on the E point, if I can flick to it, there we go. This E capper should be stepping on before too long. Still though, we see HIMARS back here. I think should have vision on that. Yep, Kisk's their jammer on now, going to be trying to deny this point. This might be a little bit far back. I like tucking this beam destroyer into this little nook over here, kind of the armpit of this rock. Gives you good cover unless you cover that E point with good missile range. And beam range, of course, too. But you get your missiles and beams in tandem. You can whip around a shot towards A point. Nice little position to find yourself in. Stand and Deliver certainly has. It's tried to hold out again, though, that long haul getting knocked out here. So this thing is just on borrowed time until eventually it is knocked out by all of these guns. So Braxis tried and unfortunately was seen off there. Ion going to be trying, again, get themselves onto the A point if they can. Hallow also advancing nearby with them. They're going to put a lot of fire downrange as this is 5 Bulkers worth against probably going to be 1 Axford before too long. Nokek recognize the situation, going to be pointing their nose, not actually sure where they're trying to point this thing. Needs to get themselves onto one of these Bulkers so they don't take crippling damage. Missiles out here as they're also trying to deny this E point. Looks like we'll see if these end up finding purchase or not. I think they recognize that there is some asset over here that is maybe spotting them and they want to see that thing off with some of those missiles. HIMARS having a bit of a rough go as they're trying to get that beam onto target just barely out of range, I'm thinking here, right? Yeah, just shy of the 6K mark. AMMs ahoy, trying to intercept these missiles. These missiles are going to stage. Oh, almost got around those AMMs. Unfortunately, was not to be. So, successful deflection there. Dropkick Flight got their payload off. It's headed back to their carrier. We see it lurking around over here. Bunch of these Corvettes finding themselves into this kind of backfield. 8-Ball has gone on Safari. Man, the entire backfield of OSP is just filled with Corvettes. That's got to be scary as a carrier player when you know that you don't necessarily have the tools you want to defeat them with. Multi-mission war continuing here. E point is going to see a bunch of these command CMD seekers. Okay, so if you're in pinpoint range, you can do very well with these. Let's see if they are or not. No, looks like HIMARS is not on radar right now, so that means that those are all going to miss or otherwise get deflected by some size 1 riposts. There we go. Pavis kicks on. No tracking view, unfortunately. Spadicy not able to keep a lock through all of that jamming. Probably just set to battle short. Yep, there you go. Battle shorted, trying to get this thing off the E point. ANS holds onto their 3-cap lead, but is going to be having a bit of a rough go. We see over here Nokek eating a bunch of that plasma across the front and suffering some of the damage associated. Top of the top of the Axford is getting peeled a little bit here from some of those shots managed to find their way in. So though, Ion going to be taking a fairly open fight here as they step onto the point. Edge in turn going to be eating a whole bunch of plasma from one side. See a beam going off in the background there, barely tickling Spadicy. You see that reactor gets popped and the gun too in the distance. That's going to finally be a battle short on target. HIMARS secures that point. Bit of track quality or accuracy issue here as just during this little slideshow of Deca, both sides open up on each other. Looks like Edge is... Where is Edge on the board? Is tracked, is not locked. Once they get that pinpoint lock, this is going to be a very sad Axford, as 5 bulkers worth of firepower is a lot for anything to contend with. Plasma as well, going to be opening up this thing with all of the smaller caliber munitions. Going to have a very bad go at life. See, a lot of these shots are kind of just splashing across here, doing some light damage. Not quite enough plasma yet to get through all of the front side armor there, especially with its angling. Still, though, they are finding their way into the target, and there's more plasma where that came from, so... The front line of the ANS is currently kind of getting folded here, as they only have 2 of these things to go up against them. But I see also on Safari here managed to get this 250 bulker from F point all the way into the backside here. So both teams just kind of like doing an odd little sweep there. ANS went around the outsides and kind of came around to the back here, where they've got all these Corvettes looking for something. It's a miracle this carrier has not been found yet, as there's so many Corvettes just kind of lurking around these places. You should be able to detect some of these strike craft at some point or other, and then probably root out where that thing is. Yeah, bulkers ahoy, as the OSP's move is to push up right through the middle with their big old front line. There we go. Edge finally hitting that critical plasma threshold, and those guns getting through. Now we start seeing both cannons getting taxed out, all the front internals here. Mount gyros are not very tough to begin with, so they get instantly booped. See all this damage starting to add up. Central gets knocked. Citadel will keep this thing alive for a minute, but losing that reactor as well going to mean power issues. The fire will not let up, and there needs to be something done about this, and soon. OSP is winning this frontline fight pretty handily, and once you win the frontline fight, it is on you to just split up, go to as many points as you can, and take those punch-down fights against a lot of these lighter assets. Speaking of lighter assets, we see Firebird now. Was a little hesitant, capped the D point, thought they'd step off, see if something comes over, tries to resecure it. Instead, nothing went back this way, and there's just a total lack of stuff in the backfield here. One of their ships is a spyglass, as we saw here, so that does give them 11-kilometer radar range from there. Might be enough for them to find some of these fighter craft and say, hey, there's where your fighter craft are, let's go after them. 8-Ball in turn, I think, has actually found the carrier. Carrier is locked onto now, yes, okay. 8-Ball has called the ball. Going to be moving out to target here, loading up some of their missiles here. Lobster Claws are locked and loaded, got that to track on target. This is going to be the big thing. So without that gun ammunition here to try and run intercept on any of these munitions, I don't think that there's anything that they can really do to stop them besides hoping that their defensive missiles are enough. Maybe if they have some fighters airborne with some air defense loadouts, like these HE frags, they could possibly do it. Gonna be on them to try and intercept here. I'm not even sure if they have radar on this thing, do they? It has a radar. Okay, Bridgemaster, so that's something. Self-screening jammer going on target, looking to hit these things. Frontline fight continues there, as we just see basically Edge getting their face kicked in by the amount of bulkers. Anyways, Lobster Claw coming on target here. Whee! Smack! Just minor moment. Oh my god. Oh, you hate to see it. 2 missile hits, all of the hangar banks taken out. Only thing available now is 2 small hangars here. These contain strike craft as well, so you are not getting any of those things off the deck. What you see is what you got. You can rearm maybe a little bit. One more just for good measure into the drive. Does not break it, but yeah, that is surgical moment. This is what offset bombers can do when they find you. I love seeing the idea of like a Corvette pair going around the edge of the map, trying to get some of these hybrid strikes off, doing long distance gaming, bullseye locking, able to hold that for their allies. Spotter Corvettes are deadly, and now that they've gotten onto the carrier here, carrier already experiencing some issues with the 35mm ammo not being equipped. Now we're just going to see more and more of these things going after it. Is dead stopped right now, cannot move. More of these missiles coming in, looking to see if they can't smack this thing up. Whee! Buckshot Flight going to try and get some vengeance. There we go. Damage control teams are killed on this thing. It is out of the game. Bombs away. 8-Ball getting the biggest purchase of their life. A full carrier taken out. Buckshot Flight still alive here with 100mm gun pods. Will be able to see off these aggressors, but not before it's too late. That is unfortunate for the OSP team. That's what ANS needs to get themselves back in the game, as they've fallen behind on the cap points here, and their front line has gotten pretty thoroughly rearranged. See Nokek over here trying to hold on to the frontline fight as we flick back. Spidicy getting them from one angle, and looks like Ion over here from the other one. Have to keep your nose on one target, but then the OSP has got themselves multiple formations moving around here. See, where did Edge go? Edge is, I believe, yeah, Edge is out with this one, unfortunately. Did get structure broken and then flavor blasted. Does still have one of their ships alive here, trying to square off against one of Spidicy's multi-mission tugs. Kind of an interesting battle. Don't typically see Sarissa Gunbrick square off against these things, but I suppose anything is possible. HIMARS with the beam destroyer. So it is worth noting this is to 1,500 points, not 1,000 or 1,250 like other maps. Canyon has 7 capture points, so you have to try and you basically give players enough time to get some of the plays off like we saw there. 8-Ball in turn also on Safari here. The beam on this thing looks like it has seen some service. Not sure what it was shooting at this whole game. Probably just cooked off, I don't know, maybe some fighters or something, or got shot. Hard to say. Going to be moving on to C Point. Firebird going to be moving this way as well, securing the naturals here. So bit of a odd flip as OSP pushes right through the middle. ANS comes around from behind, and both teams kind of just like taking alternate sides of the map right now from their initial deployments. OSP pretty happy with that A-cap. Hallow sitting here prettily on it, going to be trying to secure the E point before too long, if I had to guess. See them most likely trying to get a spot onto Microsoft Edgelord's last remaining asset down here. Still, anyone's game. Losing that carrier, pretty big thing, as we see there is a lot of bulkers that can be around the map, but they can't be everywhere at once. And if they do split up, they're going to be a lot more vulnerable to the sheer number of corvettes that can swarm you. You see Firebird over here has got a nice collection of guns in this formation, so if this thing gets onto target, it is going to be quite brutal because there's no more carrier support that is able to provide any of the, like, say, gun pod interceptions or other stuff like that. Not able to provide any bomber utility, so that's going to be a big factor. The other thing is that with this Corvette swarm, I believe that a bunch of them have jammers, right? Yeah, these are bullseyes. Yeah, there's some blankets in the formation here, so these things are going to be very low profile, hard to spot. They can sandblast away at all the lighter assets. If they don't get a Bloodhound on them, they'll be basically invisible until they get in gun range, and all of these targets are very soft to that 120 and 250 millimeters respectively. So, no monitors or cellos to see off that kind of threat with their armor or armament. 600 millimeters still very good against swarms. Edgelord probably just going to get knocked out of the game here as they're getting crossfired from like 3 different angles here. Yes, Spadicy on the ball, moving their bulker under the map as well as their multi-mission tug. Going to see Hallow as well contributing to this fight, so that's going to be Edge, unfortunately, out of the game. So that's 2 players knocked out. Nokek still technically alive on the point here, though getting their... yeah, they're kind of getting punched in the teeth right now. Abraxas decides to come over and say hi, hello. It's me again, trying to contribute to this fight as well with Ion up here, who's just basically holding down the trigger until this thing dies. Reinforced stack down here is pretty tough against these explosive shots, but still you can see a bunch of damage control teams getting bled out here. Reinforced is good, but is not invulnerable. Whiplash Drive will keep this alive for a minute, and as long as rounds are splashing across these 2 components, they cannot technically be broken. This is what having some 250 rounds can be worth it for. 250 AP specifically, you punch into this thing, you'll knock out 1 component. There you go, starting to see those things get broken now. Finally, all right. You can splash some stuff for a long time, but is it going to be forever? I don't think so. They're trying to get some stuff. I'm not sure why they're restoring a gun. That's probably just a old leftover order. So yeah, this thing basically dead. Nokek is down to just 1 little Corvette that is kind of hanging out here for the moment. A couple of missiles, Lobster Claw from down below. Looks like 8-Ball's other formation going to be finding Spadicy down here. I don't think Spadicy has Warbler on this. Not that I see anyways. No Warblers, so... This command missile going to be finding its way onto target. There we go. Self-screening jammer deployed as well. I don't think there's any AMMs. I believe that they were taken out earlier or something. Oop, bit of desync. Still able to find its way in there. Instant structure break going off on that. That is going to be a whole bunch of sections here getting smacked. So good missile play from 8-Ball going around the map with these little bomber pairs. Still nice to see some of the old techs surviving into the age of Strikecraft, but... Alright, let's see. Firebird committing on towards the A point here, deciding to get their kind of hands dirty this game. Hallow going to be answering in kind. Hallow with 450, not the caliber you want to face off against a Corvette swarm with. 450, very good against the larger targets. Basically anything frigate and above takes a lot of 450 damage. Well, the frigates can be fairly small if they point nose towards you and then decide to play that dodge dance game. Still though, 450, not the caliber of choice here. That's the specifics that we're trying to get at there. Couple of missiles going to be out testing the water. These are just some, what are these, Hodge Wakes? Okay, so fairly cheap missiles deployed out here. I understand the intention, trying to counter out some of these jamming, and then, like, if the jammer stops, you can maybe get a Wake Seeker on target, but I think this is just going to get immediately shot down, right? Okay, ran out of fuel or was popped there. I'm not sure which. These have point defense, don't they? Nah, that doesn't. One of these has to have point defense, right? These have Auroras and Defenders. Okay, so maybe it just wasn't in arc, or maybe it just fired and we didn't see. Oh, well, hard to say. They just need... they probably just turned off their radars. That's most likely what happened. All right, anyways, back to the matter at hand. More bombs going out here. These Lobster Claws have done a lot of work against Star this game. Spadicy trying to answer back here. Here we go, yep. Spicy mentioned in a previous game that he brought the wrong containers. Now we're seeing the blast frag containers to try and counter out against these. Let's see if they intercept or not. Swing and a miss on one. Gonna be swing and a miss on the other. That's unfortunate. I'm hoping he set these to defensive and that there's, like, detect small target. The command. They should be able to fire off that. This one appears to be trying to go home. Oh no, there's a blast frag. Look out. Anyways, take a look at the board. ANS is leading it on the points right now. They currently have, I want to say, a 5 cap. 8-Ball found their way onto the F point that was not defended as Spicy went down here to join the frontline fight. Heimar is also getting some work done this game with that Beam Destroyer, deciding to contribute just a little bit more into degrading the enemy frontline. Fortunately, a beam is not the most effective. Bulkers have a lot of empty space, and the beam is a fairly precise tool, so maybe it knocks out one gun, but most of the return fire can be levied against you. It's when a ship gets structure broken with a big missile strike, and then the beam is applied. That's when the liner has a very bad day. So have to watch out for those big missile plays, followed up on by 450 or beams in that case. Beams still, though, very effective at taking out some of these lighter assets. Tugs and shuttles love to get smoked instantly by those. That's why the Beam Destroyer for like 600 to 700 points, give or take, is so good at acting as a point goalie, as we saw over here on the east side, where looks like Heimars has actually burned out that beam and has not realized it yet. Whoops. Cap fleet micro errors. You get a couple of these now and then. Have to remember to turn that thing, or turn the beam back on when they get a chance. More missiles deployed here from Hallow. Hallow just trying to find a way to counter out against a bunch of this jamming. Hallow have a... Oh, interesting. Hallow's got an MLS2 on this and a talisman launcher. Huh. Don't typically see that, but okay. Kind of cool. You could fire a salvo of 6 missiles at once, I guess, if you wanted. Unfortunately, Aurora and Defender are going to see off all of those. Hodge Wake is a interesting choice. I'm not sure I agree with it, but it's interesting to see kind of being tested. The idea being it's good against jamming like this and very cheap overall. Anyways, Reflex Flight over here is incapable of really doing anything because there's no craft that they can hit with this, and they have no gun ammo. So Star going to be kicking themselves. I know Star's got to be miserable. It's like, ah, dang it, I forgot to click the button saying, yes, I need to equip ammo. Anyways. Firebird going into the middle of the map here, squaring off against a dead shuttle. That is a decidedly one fight for Firebird there. Congratulations, buddy. You kicked a dead horse. Probably doesn't realize it's dead yet. Just wants to make sure, locking on and putting some rounds into the target to be certain. Going to be trying to go after Hallow's other bulker here. If they can kill this thing off and get on that A cap, that's another point. Worth noting, again, the OSP has lost pretty much like all of their light and fast movers. They have 1, 2, and 3 tugs here, but they are severely lacking in terms of Corvette and Ferryman like equivalents there, because the ANS is just able to get around so much of the map. If OSP wants to win this, they need to get on a cap and soon. See them now taking out Heimars' destroyer over here. Yeah, this thing's gonna get shot a lot. Ion on the C-56 broadside. See, this thing is pock-marketed pretty well by these RPF rounds. The tiny little bullets there are the fragments of the shot, but they don't really do much damage against something like this. I don't even think they actually penetrate the armor of the bulker. Yeah, I think 20 centimeters. Firebird commenting about how they out-OSP the OSP as they've now gone for the oops, all light ships angle and are kind of making it work. 190 points for ANS to win on a 5 cap. That's going to go pretty damn quick right now. OSP pretty happy with their 2 cap situation. A need to find more, though. E cap is going on. We see that Hallow has managed to move themselves onto the point right now. Heimar's got to be kicking themselves, realizing they did not fix this beam as they start taking fire, trying to micro 2 of these ships. One of them, yeah, they're definitely occupied over here, trying to play the dodge game, avoiding Abraxas and Ion running them down, but First time I confidently say, Prowler, let me get a kill. Okay, wait, hang on. Wait, Heimars? Are you? No, it's not Heimars. Who was it? It was 8-Ball? 8-Ball with the Prowler vets around the outside. That's that is a nasty little thing there. Yeah, very small radar return on these things. Just like we see this thing, radar signature minus 25%. If you want to be sneaky, you can also turn off your radar and just rely on the pinar to kind of tell you if there's something around there. You can get a minuscule radar return with this because radar and comms off is like 35% plus the 25% of this. It's something ridiculous. Like I think it's like 1,300 meter return. So you can hide really well with some Prowler shenanigans there. 8-Ball, the lurking in your walls, deviant little guy this game. Best girl over here now finally realizes, oh shit, the beam, oh shit, the magazine, now I gotta fix these things. So looks like Heimars was a little bit occupied. Still, I don't think the beam is gonna do much against a fresh 450 bulker. Like we said, 450 good against anything frigate and above, and destroyer is certainly that. Star doing a call out there, trying to call saying, hey, this thing's drives are out, get it. But let's see, launching missiles on this thing. Is that 8-Balls? Yeah, so it looks like maybe they found hit here. Did they? Maybe they got visual on this. 8-Ball is over here, does have a Dragonfly drive and a beam still active, trying to get some missiles on target here. Soften up this thing ideally, because then Firebird is able to get onto another cap point here. Still though, 90, well now less than 90, 82 points to go for the ANS. They are winning decisively with the cap lead here, just being able to go on Safari. OSP decided to push up through the middle of the map, neglecting to defend their back points and getting back cap because of it. ANS does sweep forwards around those flanks there, lets the OSP push up mid, take both of their naturals. ANS goes to this side. If I just look at this map, right? Tell me which side did the ANS and OSP deploy from? Like, anyone else looking at this? The OSP's all over here on the BE side, ANS all over here on the C, like, D side. How did this game happen? Both teams just avoid each other for the most part, run into a couple low roadblocks. Yeah, turns out ANS deployed over here on like the 180 degree line, and then OSP from the 0 line. So this has been a Safari adventure right there. GG, well played. Peak Safari. No, can't correctly call it out. Yep, that was a mess. Firebird, I don't think Firebird suffered a scratch this game, just able to go fully around there. Halo's starting to get lit up now as we see all the guns managing to find their way onto target. I don't think many of the missiles went through there, but yeah, just the Corvette swarmed. The Corvette's winning this. Like 8-Ball able to find that carrier, Firebird able to go for one of those back caps. NoKek over here just kept alive with this, going for the cap play, able to hold on to it. OSP getting a little too greedy, diving onto that front line, recognizing, hey, we can punch out Axfords. Let's do that right now. Taking a little too long to spread out and then go for those cap points. Was seen off by some good beam destroyer play, denying the B point and E points initially. Could have been a very different match if those lighter assets had been able to stay on the E point and cap them. Same with the this over here. That's the B point there. Yeah, so. Still though, also the back cap down here on the G side from 8-Ball, who was able to go on the top and bottom of the map playing those wide angles. Oh, man, what an interesting game showing like the different play styles there. OSP just pedal to the floor, full send it, let's go down mid. I'm going to punch out the enemy capitals. ANS playing a little more cagey outside Safari of the map, trying to keep themselves low profile, going around. Halo getting lit up here just as we end this one off. What a game. All right, yeah. Let's see if there's any standout damage dealers. Rex is pulling just shy of 13k on that one. I'll get a little bit of work done here and there, but just not too much to shoot at. Ion definitely lighting up one of those Axfords. 13.5 on that one. Just 10k, 7k, call it. But I see getting some good work in here with the Bulkers. One of them just shy of 10k, other one 16.5. Star doesn't show any damage here, unfortunately. Star with your Barracudas. Star, remember to equip 35 millimeter nose gun ammo. There we are. Yep. Abraxas on the same side there. Yes, Star, unfortunately, we've been there. This happens when you change your loadouts. It can happen to anyone, so I don't feel bad about this. It's just like one of those like, dang it, I know why that's happened. Ripperonis. Again, Abraxas calling up, being there. Yep. Everyone's done this at some point when they equip a new carrier loadout or a new gun package and like, did I equip the ammo? Oh, right. Yeah. Anyways, let's take a look at these things. 8-Ball not pulling the big numbers, but holy shit, the impact just with those lobster claws finding their way into Star's carrier and immediately smoking like all of the banks. This thing only had 1 restore and 2 damage control teams. Yeah, this is why you want to have like a 3k asset, maybe with a little bit more DC budget against that, but only winning against French Ball is never engage it. Firebird on Safari there, just 0 damage taken across any of these things. This one, no offensive ability because it's a Spyglass cheapo. Heimar is able to see off threats here with some of their capper assets. Still, again, a lot of them getting wrecked because they ended up kind of double dutying at frontline. Still, good beam destroyer work there, seeing them off for a bit. Edge heroically holding the front line with one of the 2 CHs for the ANS team. 19k damage taken, just shy of that in terms of damage dealt as well. Escorts got shredded a little bit faster, but did their job seeing off some threats. NoKek over here, again, refusing to die, soaking 18.5k. When you're losing, lose slowly. It bought you time, allowed your other assets to kind of go around the map and then see if they can, like, try and find a angle that you're able to, like, get a cap advantage from. On a map that's not Canyon, probably wouldn't have worked as well because that would be a lot harder to cover all the points. But with 7 capture points, that's a lot you have to keep track of. Canyon not play the most, but can definitely see some very interesting gameplay on this. Anyways. They're just talking about the Hodge Wake missiles fulfilled their purpose, getting Firebird to shut up with the jammers. I love some of the banter we get going along here. These players know each other and they have a friendly sportsmanship around here, so we all take it in stride. Yeah, Canyon Gaming. Yeah, that was a very interesting match. Just how like basically ANS played like OSP and OSP played like ANS. I don't really have a better way to describe it than that, where the OSP normally tries to run a bunch of their lighter shuttles around, look for aggression points onto the backfield. In turn, ANS also trying to like win through capital advantage, take a favorable fist fight, come out on top using armor and calibers like 450. Instead, we just saw the opposite, where that happens. I'm not really sure what to say about that one. It's just an interesting little game. Anyways, we're just waiting for, let's see, Firebirds, but I see Abraxas and 8-ball. Gonna say, ready up, folks. We're just finishing off the kind of post-game conversation. We don't want to get stuck in debrief for too long here. We will do ad break intermission after this one, but I think that's all we really got to say for this match. Woo! What a game.